continuing with my colony release videos, let's talk about Aridor. Now, if you watch my videos regularly, you probably already hate that I'm doing this video. I've been talking up Aridor for like 2 or 3 months, and I'm gonna do the how to play video and probably not talk about it until my next video. Uh, but or until you do some gameplay with it, which I am very much looking forward to. But yeah, Aridor, let's look at it. So it starts with 40 cash, which is on the lower side. It has an effect that is whenever a new tag comes into play, you increase your production, your cash production by one. Notably, event tags. The event tag don't count, but also any tags on an event card don't count because the tag is not coming into play. And also the wild card doesn't count. So there's 11 available tags if you play with Venus, which means it has 11 available production to get passively, which is why it's so good. And then your first action, you can put an additional colony tile of your choice into play. I've said it before, that's, every time Pluto is in, that's going to be Pluto. Because you already have the good economy with Aridor, and now you can get the cards to like get your engine game going, right? So if Pluto is not in, I would probably go for something like Titan, or maybe even Ganymede, to a colony that's a bit harder to exploit early, or Luna, and just go for the insane production. Now, because this is your first action, with your second action, you are going to have dips on that colony. You're going to be placing the first one probably. If it's a 4-player game, then Aridor is even better because you won't be the one excluded from the colony you bring in. More importantly, though, this is not going to be relevant for Board Game Arena, but if you're playing with Prelude 2, your Preludes do happen before this action, so you can't take a Prelude that places a colony and place it on the colony that you're going to bring in. You have to place it on one of the first 5 because colonies are not available until after, Preludes are played before you bring your colony in. So just something to remember. But other than that's pretty much the summary. General strategy: just go for an engine game. Focus on colonies because you're gonna be bringing one. Probably your best two are the best two, Luna and Pluto, but you can like get earlier on them and trade better with them and probably reach your numbers better and make more out of the cards you get from Pluto because your cash economy is much better. If Miranda is in play, Titan and Enceladus, these are like the point colonies. Do keep those in mind for later in the game. And Ganymede, which is like the other point colony. Ceres can be good, but not as important for you. But yeah, that's a strategy. Do science, Jovians, cash, earth tags, all the fun stuff basically. Animals too. Don't rush the game. And it's really flexible in this sense. You don't need anything more than this general strategy, which is why I really like it. It's not like you have to go Jovian or you have to go Titanium, like Phobolog. It's just generically good, like a lot of the best corps, like uh, Viter, Creditor, and Director are all like that, right? You just need point cards with Viter, which is like there's a lot of them. So yeah, any engine strategy works with Aridor, whether that's Jovians or like just heavy cash or even just going for like a ground game that's a little bit more city focused. It all works. Okay, let's talk about some common mistakes, or in this case, mistakes that I think could be common. The first one is no card draw. If you don't have card draw, then you're fucking up. Like if Pluto's not in and you don't bring it, like you played wrong already. Like that's already set in stone. Uh, like I said, you're gonna get a great economy. You have to just get the card draw and you get a good engine game. Also, I mean, your card draw becomes a little like on cards once you bring Pluto and you're hitting it, it becomes a little less important. But once your other opponents get in there, especially if they're also engine players, you do want to like play good card or like restricted area or AI Central. Second mistake, I already talked about it a little bit. It's keeping a colony prelude with the intention of playing it on your colony that you're bringing in, which is likely gonna be your favorite, or probably your second favorite of the ones available. So yeah, basically because you can't, because preludes happen before your first action, so you're gonna have to place that colony on some other colony tile, and then like with your first action, bring a colony and then pay for your colony. So just keep something else, and yeah, just pay for your colony the hard way. At number three, um, I would say a big mistake is not anticipating tax, right? So you might think that every new tag is one production, but you sort of have to um, anticipate like which tags you're more likely to get. And so like playing maybe a steel card that isn't very good, like that, what's it called? SF Memorial. You know, it's just a steel card, gives you a point and a card, not something you want to play early ever. Uh, just because it's getting you one production, it's not worth it because, like, I mean, it's not cheaper. It gets you one, it's a better card, but you're probably gonna play a steel tag early anyway, at some point, and you're gonna get that production. And now, like, after you play that, like, basically you don't get the bonus twice, right? You only get it for the first steel tag, so don't do it for that. But that brings me into the fourth mistake, which is sort of the opposite case. I'm going to say it's not recalculating the value of some cards, and my example here is Archive Bacteria. It's not that common to play microbe card early. Like it's just Psychrophiles and a few others are decent, but if you get Archive Bacteria, this is now a good card if you don't have any other microbe cards, because you're not likely to play that one for a while, and it's getting you one production that you otherwise probably wouldn't have gotten because it's a rare tag. Um, and so this is now a much better plant producer. Like it'll pay back for itself in cash in 6 generations, and it's already pretty cheap, and it's getting you one free plant production, right? So, so you have to recalculate the value of cards with rare tags. Uh, the, like pets becomes better too, for example, right? Because you're not likely to play an animal card for a while. If you play pets first gen, that one production means you like it'll actually make the money back and you'll get the points. So pets becomes a better card too. Okay, but before we keep discussing, those are the to me the mistakes. Let's talk about common versus uncommon tags. And I basically have three categories: um, common, mid, and uncommon. And I'm not referring just to the proportion of the tags. I'm referring to the proportion and the early playability of it. So um, there might be quite a few micro tags, but they're not. There aren't many that are playable early, right? There's like two, right? On the other hand, steel tags like they go down in proportion, but there's still a lot of good early ones. You know, all the mine and all the production stuff. So yeah, let's go with the common ones first. And again, I'm focusing on tags that are often very playable early. To me, those are Earth, Science, and Steel. Science probably being the weakest one there, but yeah. I mean, these are usually just production cards, cities, power production cards in the case of Steel, which you'll want early, um, or energy, I should say. Um, and yeah, these are just like the ones you're gonna see most. And so basically, cards in this section, you only play the good ones, right? Because you're gonna find another one at some point that is good and that uh, doesn't like it still has the tag, right? You're gonna get that tag. Let's go over the mid ones, and I would say these are energy, space, Venus, if it's in play, Jovian, and plant. And these are tags that are like energy and space. It's not that difficult to get one down early. Maybe plant two. Jovian and Venus are a bit rarer. Venus, you have to be going for a Venus strategy, and you're already not a Venus Corp. But they are still mid to me. And but yeah, cards with these stacks, you sort of have to like value these stacks a little higher because it's harder to get the production out of those stacks a little. And then for the uncommon ones, they're microbe, animal, and city. Early animals are like pets and sometimes ecological zone. Early microbes, viral enhancers, psychrophiles, and archaebacteria maybe now. And okay, cities. There's good early ones. There's just again it's diluted, and I feel like it is less. It's probably the strongest. It's probably the strongest of these three, but it's a little harder to get than the other ones, and the other things that they tend to be expensive. There's like the corporate stronghold is probably the cheapest one, and it's not that cheap, right? You need the energy, so this corporate stronghold costs 21. So that's it. Like the other thing, this is why they're not very good early. With that in mind, let's talk about some key cards for you. Now, I'm just gonna talk about like the general strategy. You know, we already know what it is, but I'm just gonna talk about some like key cards and the science build tag combo is pretty common, and all those cards are good. So like AI Central, Mars University, Development Center, and Natural Preserve all have that combination. These cards are much better for you now, and they were already good. Natural Preserve is like it's basically a quiet company with a point, a tile, and a science tag, right? And then, so it's great. Notably, all of these are on the common tag category, so they're good, but you'll probably get these tags within the third gen anyway. Olympus Conference is also very good. It's three tags. Like playing this first gen, it's totally doable because now like it's like you're playing Acquire Company, right? Again, if you have a bunch of Earth tags in your hand, then don't play it first. Like if you have Earth and building tags, or you have mine and sponsors, then Olympus Conference becomes a little worse to play early because you can just play those production cards and then play Olympus Conference. It's just a science tag, right? Another couple of cards that may become a little better: Transit Tuner Probe and Lagrange Observatory. Like it has sort of the weakest from the common tag tier, and uh, Space Tag, which is a mid. So these are they could be two production that nobody. So like Transneptunian could be sponsors if you don't see any of other of those tags, and in this case, it is worth playing early, even if it's just a point, and also that science tag. Other very important cards: Psychrophiles. Like I said, the microbe tags and viral enhancers, the microbe tag, like just it's worth a lot. Viral enhancers has two tags, including the science, so it has an uncommon and a common, but these are good early cards, and not they are much better. I also think that the cheap plant cards become a lot better. So heather, lichen, moss, uh, and also even protected valley, which is not cheap, but comes with tree production, a building, and a plant. Uh, Again, become better for you. Ecozone is especially good now. It's rare to have a greenery if you don't already have a plant tag. So if you somehow got there to a greenery without a plant tag, then Ecozone is awesome. It's going to give you two production. I mean, it's Ecozone, first of all. But second of all, it's giving you two production that you otherwise wouldn't have gotten. Pets, also two tags, one common with the earth that you probably don't care about. But the animal one, that's going to pay back by the end of the game if you play it in the first generation, and it's going to give you points. So pets is a lot better. Notably, Research Outpost, three tags and one is a rare one, and you always want to play this early anyway because it's one, minus one cash for every card. So now it comes with three production, which just makes it an insane first play. Solar Wind Power, space, energy, and science, two mids and a common. I love Solar Wind Power. Solar Wind Power. I can't pronounce it, but I do love it. Um, it does have two common ones, but still, this card can now give you three cash production if it's your first energy production, and it's sorry, it's one common and two mids, right? So like this could give you 3 production that you may otherwise not get for a while. And it's a science, which is, like I said, the worst one of the first common ones. So yeah, research outpost pretty good. I should probably mention this reason the space one is not in the common tier, even though it's one of the most common tags, is because they're not that good early. So there's not that many cards that, like, a lot of them are like big point cards at the end of the game. Uh, Colony cards are actually have some decent ones. It's probably the easiest of the mid tier, but I do think it's a bit harder to play them early and they are expensive. Finally, from the base game, you have Ganymede Colony, which is Jovian, City, and Space. It has 2 mids and 1 rare, but Jovian is sort of on the like closer to rare than the other mids. So I mean, this is usually a last card in the game thing, unless you're stealing Mayor or Ream Settler, which you usually don't have to steal. But yeah, with 3 productions, it becomes a little better. Beam from a Thorian Asteroid, on the other hand, it is a good early card. The thing is, you already have the Jovian, so it really is like you kind of has 2 tags, which is an energy and a space, but those are still mids, right? It's no common tags, and if you happen to be able to play it because you have a wild tag, then it does come with 3 cash production in addition to 3 energy and 3 heat that you probably otherwise couldn't get. And then fusion power, which is science, energy, and build. Again, 2 of the common ones, and this is a lot rarer to play, but it's also 3 energy production, so a much better card in color. Okay, let's talk about expansions then. So let's begin with Venus. Venus is obviously good for you because, first of all, it adds 1 more tag. So that on its own is just what you want. But also, it makes the game a lot slower. So, yeah, rushing becomes a lot harder, and it adds a lot of space tags. It adds floaters, which are good, very good with your strategy usually, if you can get them. And it's just like a bunch of space tags. It's generally good for that. But the main thing is the tag. And so, besides all the great Venus tags, I would say sponsor academies with Earth and Science can be good early, like now giving 2 production and a point and all the card draw. Very playable, even like as a one-time science draw. They are too common though. Sulfur eating bacteria and Venusian insects. They are a Venus tag. Not only that, they like sulfur eating doesn't even need that much synergy with Venus. You need 6%, so that's all. And it's also like a Venus, which is mid, and a microbe, which is rare. So that's great. Venusian insects too, but it's later and a lot harder, right? Same thing goes for the animal cards, Venusian animals and stratospheric birds. They are both Venus and animals, and Venusian animals also has a science tag, but like that's so late that you usually don't play them. And then finally, there's deuterium export, which it's energy, space, and Venus. So 3 mids, which is great, and this is a card you can play on turn 1. And it's a decent energy producer. It does get tapped a lot when you play with that, but it actually, like 4 colonies, I mean, playing this first turn, like you'll get your at least 1 energy second turn, and you probably want to get the 2 other energies some other way to be a little faster, but still, like it gives you 1 by a second turn, which is probably what you need. And it's giving you 3 production. Okay, now let's talk about the next expansion, which is Prelude. So, self-sufficient settlement and early settlement both come with a city tag, which I consider one of the hardest ones to get down and one of the most expensive ones too. And of course, project. Should we talk about? Yeah, let's just do all the preludes. Project Eden. No, let's talk about when the time comes actually. So not yet. Dome farming, early plant tag, awesome, and also building tax, so it comes with 4 production for you. I research outpost, which is a Prelude I don't like because I feel you pay a lot for the tax, but getting that Jovian turn 1 is like that's a lot faster. You usually get a Jovian down, so that's 1 production for a while. Science, you're probably gonna get a science down because it's one of the common ones, but still, it's good to get it. It's a double tag, and ecology experts, plant, and microbe, and it might lead into an animal or a Venus card early. So ecology experts is deceptively good for Aridor. Now preludes. I think even though they help the rush, they're good for Aridor because it's just an easy way to get more attacks. I think you get more out of it than most players. So yeah, I still would play with it. The cards that it adds, it's really nothing special there. I think Space Hotels has a yeah yeah. There's nothing there. Space Hotels has 2 tags, but it requires the Earth tags, but that's it. So, but the key thing is all the early preludes that you get. Now, colonies. Yeah, obviously you're gonna be playing with colonies, so I'm not gonna talk about adding it, but it does have ecology research, which is it's the only cards with 4 tags in the game, so that on its own makes it fun. Uh, the thing is, it's not very easy to play, even though it has no requirements. You probably want to have some colonies down and some animals and some microbes, so I don't really count it. Because like if you have places to put the animals and the microbes, you probably have animal and microbe tags, right? I think you almost assuredly do. So not a good card. And then we have a couple of other interesting one. Titan shuttles. It's a 2 tag with a Jovian and no requirements, so that's nice. And Titan floating launchpad. It's a good early Jovian, but it is still only 1 tag. So like the cards in colonies are not the most helpful ones, but you can bring Pluto, and that's what matters. Okay, moving on to Turmoil. I think Turmoil is kind of neutral to you. Um, Again, the cards that it adds are whatever. I think probably the most interesting one is Wildlife Dome, which is one of the cards that needs the greens in power, which means you can play it Gen 1. And it comes with 3 tags, Animal, Plant, and Steel, which is pretty awesome for you, because Animal and Plant are pretty hard, and Steel less so, but still it's a 3rd tag, so I mean you're getting 4 production because it's a greenery. The greens will be in power in the first generation, and 2 like a common tag, an uncommon one, and a meat one, which is pretty good. GML contract also pretty good, very good early game card. Also greens need to be in power. And it gives you a science and a microbe, so as long as it gives you a rare early, and it's also a pretty good card, right? Just economically, it immediately gives you 2 back when you play it. And if you play Wildlife Dome right after, it'll give you 4 more. And you'll have 5 production. That's actually insane, now that I think about it. You're paying 12 for those 2 cards, get a great effect, and get a greenery and 5 production. Jesus. Okay. Um, I would want to do that one day. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Turmoil. You obviously want to go Unity Resin Scientist for most of the game. Um, because, well, I mean, you want to stop rushers with the Reds when you can. If you are developing Titanium or end up like because of the Venus, Jovian, Earth, you might end up with a bunch of those tags of Unity, but I honestly would start with Reds here because you just really want to stop a rush. If the game, it's not that you can't beat a rush or you can't rush. You absolutely can with Aridor. It's a very flexible corp, but if the game goes long, you're more likely to win. Just because you'll better eco just wins game, right? Especially when card draw can be guaranteed, which Aridor always can guarantee card draw. And so if you're both drawing a lot of cards, the one with the better eco will win. But yeah, and then like if Pluto is congested, you might want to bring in the scientists now and then. Uh, because yeah, it's another draw and you can afford it with your good economy. Okay, moving on to Prelude to Electric Boogaloo. Um, the most interesting card was Microgravity Nutrition, which it's not a good card, I don't think. uh, but it is quite interesting because you'll have colonies. It's like my criticism of this was it's a really weird combination of plant and microbe for production. That's usually not gonna be great, and a point that's usually just not gonna matter early. But if you have two colonies and you can get four production out of these, and you might not play any other microbe or plant tags for a while, then probably worth it. But other than that, there's not a lot. A lot of the cards with multiple tags also have requirements, or events are very expensive. So in terms of cards, there isn't much. But in terms of preludes, there is. There's strategic base planning, which is already a broken card and comes with three tags: common, mid, and rare, which is the city tag. It's a colony and a city. Now remember, you can't place the colony on the colony you bring in, but if Luna is in, you place one on Luna, and you bring in Pluto, you place one on Pluto, and you pay for it. It's fine, right? Planetary Alliance, really good card for you. The Venus and the Jovian tags don't usually come early, so again, this is a common and two mids, but they're on the lower end of the mids. And it also gives you, so this gives you five production because of the two TR and two cards that the Earth you probably get, but the other ones not so much. Anti-desertification techniques, which is like dome farming, but for Aridor it actually might be a little better because it is. I mean, but they're both giving you two production, but the microbe tag is rare, so it's a production you might not get as fast. And then Giant Solar Collector. I mean, first of all, it gives you two energy, which is gonna let you trade, so always great for you. And then a Venus Step, which who cares? But it's two tags. It's energy and space. They're not the most common tags. Energy, people fight for energy like crazy in colonies. So great prelude in colonies, just with the two energy alone, better for Aridor. And then Project Eden, which just finds more ways to be stupid. But yeah, this Project Eden has three tags, right? Let's check that information. Oh no, sorry, it has two, but it's city and plant, um, which is a mid and a rare. So, I mean, who cares? Project Eden, it's always amazing, but it's even more amazing now. Yay! Okay, finally, let's talk about boards. And so let's begin with Hellas. Um, might be the best map for you. Like, okay, so you really don't have an advantage on Diversifier because you actually start with no tax, which is technically a disadvantage, right? But you do play towards it more than anyone, and you do get rewarded for playing towards it, so I think you can usually get it. You also have an economy that's bigger, which usually like will let you play some tags that are like Jovians which or Venus, which can be more expensive or plant and maybe not easy to get early. But not a lot going on there otherwise, and then you have Magnate for awards that you'll probably get. Uh, but other than that, there's no real award or milestone that favors you. There's no that work against you because I mean you're just a rich corp. But yeah, like tactician, yeah, polar explorer. No, you don't do tiles a lot. Energizer again, just everyone's fighting for that in colonies, so it's not that easy to get to six. Dream Settler, yeah, you get a little bit of benefit from playing one Jovian, but not three. And then for awards, like Cultivator, no. Space Baron, no, not really. Eccentric, not really. And control. So there like none go against you, but there's like not a lot of synergy with them. So yeah, I don't know. I I honestly don't think it's the best map for you, but let's talk about Tharsis now. So Thirst is a little more rush friendly than Hellas, but the milestones are, I think, generally worse. Planner is probably the best thing you can go to because you can always bring Pluto and just draw a bunch of cards from Pluto that people can't afford early. So that's your milestone. But you so Builder is not good for you because you don't want to focus on one tag, right? You want to diversify your tags, right? So again, you don't have a disadvantage other than not starting with a building tag, but you don't want to overdo building tags basically. So yeah. And then Mayor and Gardener, not usually things you go for, or Terraformer. You can because you have money, but yeah, Tharsis is probably the worst map for you. It does have Banker and Scientist. Banker, you have a very good advantage on. You're gonna have 11 production from your bonus by the end of the game, probably. Okay, 10 with Venus, but that's still a lot. So that's actually probably the best award in the game for you. Scientist just because you tend to go for the strategy, but nothing else. And Landor is kind of bad for you. But let's talk about Elysium, which might be the best map for you. It is probably the rush happiest, but um, I think Specialist is really good for you. Probably the best milestone for you. You have an actual advantage for Specialist. Uh, like you'll easily get 5 production by the third generation. I think usually you can do 8, just passively, right? And just whatever else you play that gives you production will help you to specialist. So that's the best milestone for you. And then Tycoon, just because you are going to be playing a lot of cards, usually cheap are like cheap cards are usually the best for things like Natural Preserve and Sponsors. Those are great cards for you. They come with extra production, so all awesome for you in that. And you'll have more money than anyone early. Like your economy scales up pretty fast. I mean, they're of course not the rich corps that start with more money, but you'll catch up really quick to those. So you have probably a decent advantage on Tycoon and ecologies too. Again, not an advantage, but you are encouraged to play those like those 3 tags separately. Which you don't have to. It doesn't have to be one of each, but usually you get there by playing like plants and microbes, maybe an animal, right? So ecologies, but okay. And then generalist, you don't really have an advantage or disadvantage. I mean, you don't start with any production other than cash, which you like will get for sure. So it's not an advantage, but that's pretty normal to start with only 1 production. And then legend, you're probably bad for legend because I mean you don't want to play a lot of events early. You want to like hit your bonus as much as possible. And then for awards, celebrity is probably very good for you. You'll have again the big economy. You'll play the more expensive cards later in the game probably. The other ones like Desert Settler and State Dealer, those are like ground game, so not for you. Benefactor, Terraforming, not for you, and Industrialist could be anyone's, right? But this one gives you just your best milestone, an easy path, probably a decent path to Tycoon. You should be okay on an Ecologist, and you're only really disadvantaged on Legend. So that's pretty good. For awards, it's a little worse, but still, it's fine. And then there's other things like Olympus Mons is really good for you here. Again, I don't like this Rush Happiest map, but I do think it's the best for you. But anyway, that's it for my Aridor video. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.